You lost? Because this isn't a warming station. The girl behind the register said it loud enough that the man at table 3 looked up from his laptop. She had a bright voice, the kind built for selling things. She was not selling anything to the old man at the counter. Her eyes went down to his frayed collar, then to the cash folded in his fist, and her mouth flattened. Gas stations 2 blocks down, they've got coffee for people like you. The shop smelled like cardamom and warm milk, and the faint bleach of a floor mopped that morning. Rain ticked against the front glass. 6 people stood in line, and not one said a word. The man counted out his bills carefully, the way you do when you've learned not to be wrong about it. He paid for a flat white and a slice of lemon olive oil cake, carried both to the corner table by the window, and sat down. He took one bite. Then he stopped chewing. Not because of what they had said to his face. He had been told to leave nicer rooms than this. He stopped because of what they said when they thought the dirty old man had stopped listening. His name was Gerald Voss. He was 61. And the green sign over the door, the words under it that read, "No one drinks alone," he had drawn himself 31 years ago with a paint pen on the side of a trailer. This was his store, the first one, and by the end of the week, 2 people behind that counter would lose everything they had built on someone else's back. Gerald Voss did not look like a man who owned 28 coffee shops. That was sort of the point of him. 31 years ago, he was 30, broke and stubborn. He bought a dead 1979 Airstream for $400 and spent 8 months turning it into a coffee trailer in a rented bay off Trent Avenue. He parked it at the gate of the Cascade paper mill because the mill ran a graveyard shift and no cafe in town opened early enough for the men coming off it at 5 in the morning. He poured the first cup himself and gave it to a millwright named Sal, who was short a few coins and whom Gerald did not want to feel them. One trailer became a storefront on Garland Avenue, then 4 stores, then 28 across Washington, Idaho, and Oregon. Copperline Coffee. Hand-roasted, a little expensive. Known for a dark blend and for a wooden board by the door of every shop where strangers bought coffee for strangers they would never meet. He wrote the motto thinking about his father, who used to take him to a diner that always sat them at the back by the kitchen door. Never the window. No one drinks alone. He meant it, which was a problem because for 3 years he had not stood at a register as anything but a name on the payroll. He watched the numbers from the 11th floor and the numbers looked fine. Revenue up 9%. He had stopped looking at the floor because the floor had stopped needing him to. He was wrong about that too. It started with a folder. His chief of staff, Nora, set it on his desk on a Wednesday. "You should read these today," she said. The Garland store. 31 printed reviews. The flagship. His first real shop. He read 3 and set his coffee down. Asked if I could afford the muffin before she'd ring it up. 22 of the 31 said the same thing in different words. Not the coffee, not the price. The way certain people got treated like a draft coming in under the door. He pulled up the internal board. Garland's customer. Rating was dead last out of 28. The shop he built first was now the worst one he owned. He called the store manager, Trevor. 2 years on the job, fine on paper. "People leave 1 star when they don't get a free refill," Trevor said, smooth as a coat already on a hook. "It's noise. My crew's hitting numbers." Gerald knew that tone, the kind that practices the answer before anyone asks the question. "Thanks for your time," he said, and hung up. That night, he parked across the street and watched 2 young women close. One wiped the bar in bored circles. The other leaned on the register and did not look up when a man in work boots came in and waited a full minute to be seen. Gerald's hands tightened on the wheel. He opened the staff schedule on his phone. 2 names sat on every busy shift. Brooke Maddox, Sierra Cole. A third, Dahlia Castro, was scheduled only for 5 a.m. openings and 10 p.m. closings. The dead hours. Every week. No overlap with the crowd. No overlap with the tips. He looked at that name a long time. Then he started the car. The next morning, Gerald did something he had not done in 3 years. He dressed like a man the world had stopped looking at. Old canvas jacket, a cap with a sweat ring. He left his watch on the shelf and took the bus 14 stops to the Garland store, the one he had built with money borrowed against his own truck, and pushed the door open. The bell rang. Nobody turned. Brooke Maddox was on the register, phone in hand. Sierra Cole stood at the espresso machine with a towel over her shoulder she clearly had not used. Gerald stepped to the counter and stood there. 5 seconds. 10. A young couple came in behind him, and Brooke's head snapped up like it was spring-loaded. "Hey guys! Welcome to Copperline. What can I get started?" She took their order around him, like he was a coat rack. They got their drinks, and she went back to her phone. He cleared his throat. "I'd like to order." She looked up, and her eyes did a slow trip, cap to collar to shoes, the way you scan a thing you have already decided to throw out. "What do you want?" It was not a question. "A flat white, and the lemon cake, please." Brooke glanced at Sierra. "He wants the lemon cake." Sierra snorted without looking. Brooke turned back and spoke slow, the way some people talk to children that aren't theirs. "You sure? It's $6. The drips too." "The flat white's fine." She rang it, took his bills with 2 fingers like she was lifting something off a wet floor, and dropped his change on the counter instead of his hand. 2 coins rolled. He picked them up one at a time. On the cup, she scribbled 2 letters and did not ask his name. He did not need to ask what they meant. The cake was very good, better than it had any right to be, and he had not even known it was on his own menu. He took a bite. That was when Sierra leaned across the bar toward Brooke and did not lower her voice. "Did you see him count his coins off the counter? I almost died." Brooke laughed. "I don't get why they come in here. We're not a shelter. He'll buy the one thing, never tip. At least he didn't bring kids. I told Derek, if we don't start filtering at the door, this place is gonna look like a bus depot." "For real," Sierra said. "We're protecting the vibe. Not everybody fits the brand." Gerald set the cake down. His hand was steady. His jaw was not. There was a coffee ring dried into the table, cracked at the edges, that nobody had wiped in weeks. He took out his phone and typed one word: rot. He watched another 40 minutes, then finished the flat white, left the cup, and walked out. Nobody noticed the door. On the sidewalk under his own sign, he called his VP of Operations, Owen Brandt. "Clear my week. I'm going back in, not as the founder, as a nobody, and I need every person in that building to believe it." Owen wanted to pull the cameras and fire the 2 cashiers by Friday. It would have fixed one store. "I want to know if the whole house is sick," Gerald told him. "Build me a cover." Russ Tanner, a transfer trainee from the Coeur d'Alene location, keyed into the system. 4 days on the floor, Gerald trimmed his beard uneven and bought a gray shirt and scuffed boots from a thrift store. Then he read the company handbook for the first time in 2 years. The standards were all there. Greeting rules, timing, complaint steps. No part of it said who checked. No audits. No outside line for a worker to call. The whole thing rested on people doing right because it was right. He clocked in as Russ Tanner through the chipped metal door in the alley, no camera back there. The break room smelled like old grounds and microwave popcorn. On a shelf between the napkins and the sanitizer sat a small wooden box, hand-sanded, a mountain and a rising sun burned into the lid, nearly empty. Taped to the front, in round handwriting: "All tips go to Brooke first. See her before you add." He turned it over. On the bottom, burned small, DC. He photographed it and set it back. The opening lead was Dahlia Castro, 34, hair tied back tight, apron already stained by 5:15. She moved behind the bar like she had been born there. No wasted step. To her, he was Russ, the new transfer who didn't know where the lids lived. "Second cabinet, not the first," she said without turning. "First one's the cleaning stuff. Mix those up and your customers taste bleach for a week." At 6:40, an old man came in slow, in a wool coat too warm for the season. Dahlia's face opened up. "Sal. Oat milk. Extra hot. Sit. I'll bring it." She carried it over with both hands. "You're the only reason I still come," he said. She smiled, and it did not reach her eyes. Gerald waited for a gap. "You like it here?" Her hands kept moving. A long pause. "I like the coffee," she said. That pause told him more than 31 reviews. At 10, the shift turned. Brooke and Sierra came in, and the air pulled tight. Dahlia went quiet and drifted to the back. Then a young couple walked in, and Brooke became a different person, all teeth and warmth, pushing the Milltown Autumn blend like it was the best thing ever made. Gerald knew that blend, top 3 seller last quarter, and he had no idea who created it. Over the next 2 days he found out. He found the flip pad first, wedged under the register lip. 2 columns in Brooke's handwriting, check marks on one side, X's on the other. Tech guy Jake, tips 5. Instagirl tags us, free shot. And the X side. Old guy Sal, nurses 1 drink. Thrift jacket guy, slow walk him out. Thrift jacket guy. That was him. The morning he came in as a customer, they had written him down and crossed him out. Underneath, if they don't fit, slow service. They leave on their own. Just make it clear. This was not 2 girls having a bad week. This was a system. He sat with Dahlia at break, and she pulled out a battered logbook, pages of blends and dates in the margins. She stopped near the front. The Milltown dark roast. "You made this?" She nodded. "Gave it to Derek to send up the chain last fall. He put it through as his own district idea." She turned more pages. The cold brew. The holiday blend. The pay it forward board by every door. The wooden box. All hers. All credited to Derek Lansing, the district manager. "I stopped writing my name on things," she said. "What's the point?" He met Derek the next day. Cologne too loud for a coffee shop. Derek high-fived Brooke, called her the heartbeat of the store, walked past Dahlia like she was a fixture. Gerald pushed. "The Milltown blend. Whose idea?" Derek grinned. "Mine. District initiative, last fall." 3 feet away, Dahlia's hands paused for 1 second. A cup tilted. She caught it. He checked the tip totals when Brooke stepped out. She and Sierra were taking 80% of the pool. Dahlia and 2 back of house split the rest. Same hours, 1/5 of the money. He photographed the screen. Thursday before dawn, he came in at 4:30 with the store dark and an hour alone. Owen had set up a clean login the night before that left no alerts. He opened payroll first. Half of Dahlia's time cards over 12 months showed her clocked out 15. 20 minutes before the log showed the store actually locked. Someone was punching her out early and keeping her on the floor. Close to 100 unpaid hours over the year, skimmed a little at a time. The way you steal from a person, you've decided, will never check. Then Derek's district reports. 4 submissions over 14 months, each one his. Laid next to the photos of Dahlia's logbook, every entry of hers came 2 months before his submission. Every time. Long enough to look like his own idea, short enough to ride her work while it was still warm. Then the complaint file. 3 formal complaints, all filed by Dahlia. Scheduling. Tips. Credit for the roast and the program she built. All 3 closed. All 3 signed by the same hand. Derek Lansing. 1 file left. Brooke Maddox's record. He scrolled to the benefits section. Domestic partner. Listed for insurance. Derek Lansing. Engaged. He sat back and let it click. Derek protected Brooke. Brooke ran the floor and the tips. Dahlia filed complaints and Derek buried them because they came to his desk and there was no desk above his she could reach. A closed loop, a machine built to guard itself. He picked up the little wooden box again. DC burned into the bottom by hand. She had made it for a wall that gave coffee to strangers, and they had taped a note on it pointing every dollar at the woman robbing her. He set it down gently. It was evidence now. He called Owen. Legal and HR. Tomorrow. The anniversary breakfast. Everyone in that room. And get the menu screen working. I want to show them something. Show them what? The truth, Gerald said, and turned off the office light. Copperline held a small breakfast at the flagship every year on the morning the company turned another year old. This year, it was 31. Before the doors opened, the room filled. Regional staff, 2 investors in good coats, Derek Lansing in the front row with his arms spread over the empty chair beside him, the posture of a man who had never doubted he was the most important person in any room. Brooke sat second row, annoyed at a mandatory meeting, Sierra beside her. Dahlia sat in the back, hands folded, expecting what she always got, which was nothing. At 2 minutes past 8, a man in a worn canvas jacket and scuffed boots walked to the front. The same clothes from 4 days on the floor. No suit. No notes. Brooke squinted. Something moved behind her eyes. Recognition trying to climb up through disbelief. Gerald let the quiet sit. Then he spoke, evenly. 4 days ago, I walked into this store and ordered a flat white and a slice of lemon cake. The 2 people behind that counter looked at an old man in a torn jacket and decided I was a problem to get rid of. One of them told me to go find coffee at the gas station with the rest of the people like me. Brooke's smile froze somewhere between her face and the floor. My name is Gerald Voss. I started this company. I built this store. I poured the first cup Copperline ever sold out the side of a trailer at the mill gate 31 years ago, and I gave it away because the man I gave it to was short a few coins. The color left Brooke's face all at once, like someone had pulled a plug at the base of her throat. He took the flip pad from his jacket and held it up. This lives under the register. Check marks for the customers you wanted. X's for the ones you didn't. He read from it, flat. Old guy Sal, lady with kids. Thrift jacket guy, slow walk him out. He looked up. Thrift jacket guy was me. You put an X next to the man who paid for the floor you're standing on. He turned to the menu screen, and the numbers came up large enough to read from the back. Tip distribution, 12 months, 80% to 2 people, a fifth of it to everyone else, working the same hours. Next slide. Derek's 4 district reports on the left. Photos of Dahlia's logbook on the right, her dates ringed in red, running 2 months ahead of his every single time. Derek's jaw tightened. I can explain the... I'm not finished. Gerald's voice had not gone up. It had gone down. And that was worse. Last slide. 3 complaint tickets, all filed by Dahlia, all marked reviewed, no action, all signed by Derek Lansing. Scheduling, tips, credit for her own work, filed by her, closed by the man she's listed beside on a benefits form. Engaged. Derek's face did not drain like Brooke's. It hardened. His eyes went to the side, a man checking the room for an exit instead of an apology. Gerald turned to the back row. Dahlia sat with her back very straight, her eyes wide, not with shock but with something older, the look of a person watching a thing happen that she had stopped letting herself believe in. Dahlia, you created the Milltown Roast. You built the pay-it-forward wall that's at the door of all 28 of my stores. You carved the box they shelved and taped your name out of. He chose the words carefully. I owe you an apology, not for what they did, for sitting 11 floors up while it happened 14 miles from this counter. That part is mine. She pressed her lips together. Her eyes were bright, not spilling, just bright. She nodded once, slow, and it was not agreement. It was the nod of someone who had always known what she was worth and had been waiting a long time for one other person to see it. Gerald picked up 3 black folders and set them down one at a time. Brooke, terminated, for running a system that decided at the door who was allowed to feel welcome and for funneling the tip pool to herself. Sierra, terminated, for the same. Derek, terminated, for taking another person's work and signing his name to it, for skimming 100 hours off her pay, and for sitting on every complaint she ever filed because the woman they named in it was about to be his wife. Derek did not speak. He looked around the room once. Every face was on him, and not one looked away. He picked up the folder, stood, and walked out. "You decided who I was before I set my cup down," Gerald said to the room. "You got one thing right. I don't belong behind a desk 14 miles from my own counter." 4 months later, the Garland store looked the same from the street. Inside, almost nothing was. The first thing you saw walking in was the Pay It Forward wall, rebuilt, fuller than it had ever been, and a chalkboard beside it in Dahlia Castro's handwriting. "This season's blend, created by our team. Next to each one, a name, a person, not a district code. 2 of the 4 were hers. Nobody had to steal them anymore. Gerald had not gutted the place. He pulled out the rot and let the rest grow, and he put 4 things in writing across all 28 stores. A live tip ledger anyone could open on their phone, split by hours, worked. Credit and a sales cut for any worker whose blend or program the company used, name on the board and the app. A complaint line that went past the district manager straight to Gerald's desk, and a surprise visit every season by someone nobody would recognize, judged on one question. Did anyone here get made to feel like they didn't belong? Dahlia had a new title on a new badge. Director of Coffee and Community. Her back pay landed in one deposit, the skimmed hours and a year of stolen tips, calculated to the cent. She ran her thumb across the badge the first time the way you touch something you pictured 1,000 times and never let yourself believe you'd hold. One new hire was Yvonne Carter, a home health aide who had come in 4 months back in her scrubs, been called the wrong name twice, and left her coffee half drunk. Gerald found her through the feedback form nobody had answered and asked if she'd want to work somewhere she helped build the welcome instead of getting turned away from it. She started that Monday on the front register, the spot Brooke had guarded like a throne. Sal came back. He had stopped coming after the slow service wore him down. Then one Tuesday, the bell rang, and there he was in the wool coat, standing just inside the door like he was checking whether it was safe. A new barista smiled. "Oat milk, extra hot. Sal, right?" He stared. "How'd you know my name?" "You're top of the list." He laughed, surprised, the sound of a man who had forgotten what it felt like to be expected somewhere. When he left, he tucked a 5 into the little wooden box on the counter, sanded down now, the mountain and sun reburned, full of bills. Gerald visited once a month, always through the front door, always a customer first. On one visit, he saw a framed photo by the chalkboard, a young man grinning beside a battered Airstream, 31 years gone. Under it, a plaque. "No one drinks alone." He asked who hung it. Dahlia gave him the same shrug she'd given him 100 times, lighter now. "The team. People should know where this place came from." He ordered the lemon cake and sat at the same corner table where he had frozen mid-bite 4 months before. Yvonne handed him the flat white with both hands. Sal was at the window. He took a bite. This time he finished it. If you've ever walked into a place that should have been glad to see you and been treated like a draft under the door, you know the worst part wasn't the rudeness. It was the people in line who saw it and said nothing. So let me ask you, when was the last time somebody decided who you were before you finished your sentence? And the harder one, have you ever been one of the people in that line? Tell me in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. If this one got to you, leave a like so it finds the next person who needs it. And subscribe, because next time the boss goes undercover, the camera's already rolling. You can lock a name in a drawer. You can't make it stop being hers.